actually have no idea if we're live or not. If anybody can see this, let's see. I think we're live. Are we live? Okay, I think we're live. This is my first live stream. I have never done a live stream before, so I'm super excited for that. Hopefully, nobody joins. I don't really want you guys to see this because this is kind of a test run, but hopefully, I'm gonna make it a weekly thing because I've been really terrible at recording videos on YouTube, so this is kind of a little bit easier. I couldn't find a ring light today, so we're sitting on the floor in my bedroom next to a window because that's the only place I could find a decent lighting in my house, and we're going to discuss some questions that I received this week. We're going to discuss my practice and all that kind of fun stuff. And again, hopefully I can make it a weekly thing specifically to this group and stay in the group, invite people in the group. We like the group. I like the group. I hate Facebook, but the group is a good thing because it's kind of a way for me to not broadcast to you, like not one to many, rather than many to many kind of situation. So you guys can contribute too, and there's multiple questions that people don't actually like. They ask me, but I don't have time to answer, or I don't have interest to answer because I'm not really the applicant anymore. I don't really care for that anymore. So I thought I would have a place to redirect those people who still ask me questions about applications and all that stuff to a group where there are people who already went through all that stuff and who can actually provide some cool feedback. So that's kind of my idea with the group. Hopefully we can meet and be a little bit more active, and including myself. I'm not the most active person in the world. So today I wanted to discuss something that I received as a question very recently this week, and I still receive a lot of questions through Instagram, even though I've kind of been dead on all of my social media. But sorry about my voice, I'm super sick, which is fun for my first Mother's Day. I'm really sick. It's honestly all I wanted. I don't want to do anything. I just want to be watching TV on the floor and like go to Home Depot. That's what I want for my Mother's Day, and clean. Is that weird? Does anybody clean? Does anybody enjoy cleaning? Because I definitely do. But the question that I want to discuss today is somebody reached out to me on Instagram and asked me if I have a practice, if I can hire them as a dental assistant and sponsor their visa, and they're currently in wherever the country that they were. I think they were from India, but they want to apply to advanced standing program, but they don't actually have funds right now, so they wanted me to basically sponsor their visa so they can work for any practice. They're obviously messaging many different people who own practices, sending their resumes because they want to find a job as a dental assistant and acquire funds before they can actually apply to school. And that's actually kind of a common thing. A lot of people think that before they can go to school, because the school is so expensive, they can work as dental assistants and stay in America through the work visa. That is unfortunately basically borderline impossible, even though, technically you can get a work visa, H-1B, through working, through being employed in America, but it doesn't mean that you should in the first place, and it doesn't mean that it's a good idea for your long-term, career. Especially, this is not a good idea to move that way to America, and I will explain why. So first of all, H-1B, so the work visa, is basically a lottery. It doesn't work how people abroad think. So it doesn't mean that it's not a chain of things, of actions, right? You don't apply for work, get hired, get a work visa. Why? First of all, rather than, it works a little bit differently. So it works kind of like a lottery, kind of like a visa lottery. There's a absolute limit of how many H-1Bs can be granted to in a certain calendar year. So there are rankings in the H-1B lottery. So more qualified professionals are more likely to get that H-1B. Rather than less qualified professionals. And unfortunately, dental assistants are not something that's super qualified. So they're going to be low in their rankings, and they will have much lower chance to receive H-1B and win. Basically, it's a lottery, so you win that visa in a certain calendar year. So just that system in and of its own brings the likelihood that you will get that visa lower. So just being employed in America and finding somebody who will agree to employ you doesn't guarantee that you are actually going to receive that visa, and you will not be granted an entry. That's just the system of how it works. So it doesn't mean that, if so you find, even if you find somebody, which is already a long shot when you're applying from a country abroad, sending your resume into the universe, that somebody will want to hire you. And even if they do hire you, there's a huge process and there's no guarantee that you're going to win the visa. In fact, there's a very low chance that you are going to win the visa. Second of all, to employ you as a foreign person of any kind, even if you're a super like rocket scientist and you need to be employed by some like cool corporation and your skill is very valuable and you would have a very high chance of winning that visa, the company needs to be registered with the government. And it is a very lengthy and complicated process, and it's not just registered with the government, just like a signature or just like an application that they have to fill out. Every employee that they hire from abroad, they have to prove that they can't find anybody in the United States who could have done that job. So they have to post the application for that position multiple times. They have to prove that they couldn't find anybody for that position, um, for a particular amount of times, like they like for 6 months or something. There's a certain limit of time that they couldn't find the person for this position. And obviously, if you post in a dental assistant vacancy online, there will be a lot of applicants because it's not a rare job. Like a lot of people can do that job. So that's kind of another reason why this would not work. Just the company, even if they are willing to hire you as a dental assistant from a foreign country, they will not be able to qualify with the government because the process is so complicated and in this situation, borderline impossible. So that's another reason why just sending out your application in the world is not going to grant you a visa. This is a bad idea. The third reason why this is like just kind of funny to me to read is because just imagine how much effort this requires, and then you move to the United States and you try to establish your life as a complete foreigner who just moving for the first time with no connection to the United States to a random place and trying to survive on dental assistant salary. Dental assistant salary is very low. It's like, well, it depends. Like $30 an hour is pretty ish okay salary. I believe, at least like that's how much I would pay for my dental assistants. I do pay more, but anyway, that's kind of our average. So $30 an hour, that's not a lot of money. And living alone, finding an apartment, that's just price of life is so expensive and the salary of a dental assistant is so low. It makes so much more sense to actually skip that whole process and just the objective of to finding a job as a dental assistant is to collect money, save money for school. Working as a dental assistant in the United States is the only to support your life. You will waste all of that money. You will use all that money that you're making for your life. So you will not be able to study. You will not be able to just find time to apply and to actually put effort in your application to get accepted in a school. So you're basically just putting a lot of effort, spending a lot of money, spending a lot of time, and it hurts your chances of getting in. But also, it's the whole plan to me just is so bizarre and why people think it's a good idea. But I feel like when I was applying, that's what I thought too. Like I just will work a little bit and save money, but it's just such a beginning stage of finding out how the system works in the United States, kind of like a rookie mistake. So I understand why people think that. I have received one of those questions recently, and these kind of a long drawn out explanation that I totally did not prepare, and that's why it sounds so wonky. But this is why it's a bad idea to apply from your foreign country and try to move to the United States on a dental assistant visa or H-1B visa and then try to apply to a dental school. Let's review an opposite scenario. What if we are working as a dentist in our home country, saving money there as much as you can? You're not going to save a lot, obviously, because just the price of an education is so outrageous. But actually working there, working on your application, getting recommendation letters, getting CE courses, just really getting that dental experience. Even though you don't have any experience in the United States, applying from your home country to schools in the United States and getting a student visa And getting student loans, yes, we're all going to get a student loan. Like everybody lives with loans in America. That's just how life is. The system is created assuming you're going to get a loan. Nobody has $100,000 a year out of pocket. That price assumes you're going to get a loan, and ability to get a loan is part of the application process. It's part of the exclusion process. They will take people who can pay. So there's thousands of applicants. So the ability to pay is one of the decisive factors if you're going to get accepted or not. So you have to find a way to get a loan in the United States whilst you're still in your home country. So just look at this situation differently. If you were to apply to a student visa after getting accepted to a school, the process will be so much easier. You will already move with a visa in your passport with a legitimate reason to stay in the United States. Once you graduate your school, which you will, nobody gets expelled in America unless you like kill somebody or something. And even that, you will not get expelled because I have stories, trust me. Anyway, you will graduate when you complete your program, and then you will apply for an H-1B. And then your chances of getting an H-1B, the work visa, are going to be so much higher because you're going to be a licensed professional. You are going to be a doctor in the United States. So your application will go immediately onto the top of the list because there's a certain quota for highly skilled professionals like doctors who will pretty much definitely get a visa in a certain year cycle. It's very rare that doctors don't get their H-1Bs. It is very easy to find a job as a licensed doctor once you're already in the United States. If you're abroad, it's kind of like, okay, it's a little bit difficult. But if you have graduated a school, if you're a licensed doctor in the United States, no matter of your visa status, you can be hired by a company. There are a lot of DSOs, large chain dental practices, who are willing and able to sponsor a visa for foreign trained dentists who have now been licensed in the United States. So the entire process just became so much simpler. And basically the gist of this rant is don't try to look for employment as a dental assistant in the United States when you're still in your country. Try to actually focus on your application and apply to a school in the United States and move on a student visa. And then after you're done, apply for your work visa. It is a much more logical, much more persistent and consistent way to actually stay in the United States rather than getting a low-paying, low-wage job with a very low likelihood of getting a visa. So that was one question that I wanted to discuss today. Another question that we're receiving recently is kind of the big confusion with recommendation letters and CAAPID. And I talked about it last year, during last year's cycle. And it is now that I'm saying that, it's kind of bizarre to me how long I have been doing this. It's probably been 6 years now, 6 application cycles, one before my own, I guess, maybe even, 6 years. I've been discussing applications to dental school, so yeah, I'm pretty experienced professional in this area, I guess. But I have been talking about recommendation letters since last cycle, and I feel like it was kind of a new thing last cycle. They made it very confusing in CAAPID application because when I was applying, and a couple years back, the application required a certain amount of recommendation letters. So there were 3 recommendation letters, 2 from your professors and 1 from your dean. Every school followed this requirement. There were never any confusion with who you have to get your recommendation letters from, what recommendation letters you need to get, where to upload them. It was clear cut, very simple. I feel like last year, schools took some liberties in their application. I don't know if there was a permission from CAAPID to do that, but they basically said, well, we want different application letters. We don't want the application letters that CAAPID application, recommendation letters that CAAPID application requests. We want our own recommendation letters. So we want to see your recommendation letter from your volunteering group organizer or whatever. We want a recommendation letter from your employee. We want a recommendation letter from American Dentists. And so they have more requirements than CAAPID application allows you to upload. So CAAPID application still has 3 slots to upload your 3 recommendation letters from three professors like it was years and years before. But the schools decided for some reason that they want more, but there's no place to actually add that application, add that recommendation letter. So that created a huge confusion. Where do I actually add those recommendation letters? Because you will need one recommendation for one school, and the rest of the schools want completely different recommendation letters. So if you upload it in a regular space for recommendation letters in your CAAPID application, all of the other schools won't need it. So you're going to be missing a requirement for schools, for the majority of them, and only one school will be completed. So that created, I still get questions about this stupid recommendation letters. And my best answer to that is follow the majority. See which schools you are applying to and upload those recommendation letters that they require. Majority will still want your dean and two professors. You can't go wrong with that. There is always an additional slot in the school-specific questions in CAAPID application where you can add additional recommendation letters or any additional files. If there is no space, or if you're having any trouble uploading additional recommendation letters, contact the school directly and get the information from the horse's mouth. That's the best answer I can give you guys. And I don't understand why that happened. I feel like this is so, schools are so selfish. They have this idea that they are the best school and everybody wants to apply to their particular school, which is understandable because there's such a huge demand. But they keep raising their prices. They keep making new requirements that we have to meet that don't make any sense. That is, I completely don't understand, and I think it's absolutely bizarre. I think there should be some kind of convention between all of the universities, and they have to decide what they want, and CAAPID application should at least comply to that. If the schools say we want more, we want different recommendation letters, we want to see different things, okay, CAAPID application should change their uploading system so they can comply to the school's requirements, because you're kind of putting students in the position where there's nothing I can do. This is a puzzle that I don't want to solve, that I don't need to solve. But I don't think that's in the books for anybody. I don't think that convention is going to happen, and I think every year we're going to have to deal with something that we don't understand. So that's kind of my 5 cents on that. If you wanted my advice, just follow the schools. You cannot go wrong with the dean and two professors. You just cannot go wrong with that. And if you have those letters, you can apply to majority of the schools. If you need some extra letters, tell the school that they're stupid. Not in those words. I would probably say it in those words. But don't be me. Tell them that you need additional help and you need additional slot. Maybe you can just kind of email that letter or have them email it directly to the school, mail it in a sealed envelope, whatever, but follow the majority. But yeah, that's kind of my 5 cents on that. I was talking about it recently with somebody during our Zoom interview kind of things. During COVID, another thing that it made me think that schools are so selfish. During COVID, they basically closed all, understandably, all bench tests and all in-person interviews. We all understood that. The thing that I still don't understand is why they don't return those in-person interviews to this day. A lot of schools still have them through Zoom. And the audacity of the schools to think that I can have an interview with you through Zoom. You will see me as a candidate, but I don't get a chance to visit the school, to have a tour of the school. They don't have an opportunity to actually give a tour. Like, you can't just call up the school and say, like, hey, can I tour you? Can you give me a walk through campus? They don't do that anymore. So they think, so we're good enough, right? So you can just kind of have an interview through Zoom. You don't need to see us. We're awesome. You don't need to see how the school is. Obviously, you want to come to our school. Like, don't you think that I want to see the school in person? It's for me to decide if I want to go to your school, not for you to decide if you want to take me. For me to decide if this school is good enough for me. So that's another selfish thing that I thought absolutely ridiculous. And who in that school decides that that's a good idea? I totally don't understand that. So I don't know if they will ever understand that or it will ever make sense. Especially the school that I think is the most bizarre is NYU because New York City is so specific. Like you need people either love New York City or they hate New York City. There's nobody who is like, New York City's all right. I don't care. I can go there or not. New York City is a decisive factor for NYU. Like a lot of people just can't handle it. So why do you think that I can make that decision to go to the school and not see New York, not see how your school operates, not see if the city is good for me? So I just think that's ridiculous. But that's my 5 cents. I'm so glad I'm not in that situation anymore. But I just, it's something that I can look from a perspective of a person who's not applying anymore and kind of bitch about it. But, I'm very sorry for the guys who are still applying now and have to go through this. So I've been bubbling for a long time. I see the timer, it's been 20 minutes already, but I still wanted to share with you kind of like a glimpse of my life right now. A lot of you know that I own a practice now and I'm a proud business owner. I didn't really talk much about it on social media or YouTube. I just kind of announced that I have bought one. I didn't mention any process or what I went through when I was looking for one and how I did it and why I decided to do it. And I think it deserves a video of its own, which I will definitely do because it's kind of a bizarre Casey only the most unpredictable person in the universe story because I was 9 months pregnant when I was bought this practice and I was literally on in the hospital giving birth like under epidural with all the catheters in me and just on the phone with the bank like finalizing loans and stuff. And I was like, I never thought this was going to be my life, but this is my life. And I started working when my baby was 2 months old and she was teeny tiny and I had to leave her home. Not the best decision, not something I would recommend, but I just wanted to share how it's going. So right now, it's a dumpster fire, but it's working. I mean, I did not make any money yet, and I will be very transparent with you guys. I'm not gonna say that it's like a huge success and we are, running and flying and I'm a millionaire now. No. And being a business owner is never about being a millionaire. It's just I don't like dentistry. I just don't like teeth. And dentistry would be perfect if we didn't have patients. So I want to be the owner, I want to be the manager and have doctors working for me with patients. And I want to just kind of be the person in the background who runs the whole thing. So that's my long term goal. But we're not there yet. I'm there 5 days a week, and my baby is home with my husband who works from home. But what I'm doing now, I wanted to share like the whole process with insurances, but that's a separate video for sure. What I'm doing now is I'm looking for an associate. I didn't know how difficult that would be because the most difficult part was to find a hygienist. Like hygienists are like freaking gold right now. It's so hard to find them. I don't know what they hide, but I found one. So we're okay on that front. But now I'm looking for an associate. Why is everybody a weirdo? Why is everybody a weirdo? Because right now I have the staff, right? I have a hygienist and an assistant and a front desk manager. She's like an office manager, but we don't have a front desk person. It's a small practice. So she's kind of doing everything patient facing that's not dental related. So those people are awesome and I love them. And I don't want to bring somebody who is going to disturb the whole environment. So I'm not only looking for a professional who I think is good clinically, who I think patients are gonna like, but also who I think my staff is going to like because I don't want them to leave and I don't want to bring somebody selfish or somebody with a bad energy. So I've been interviewing a lot of people lately and I just can't find somebody who will click with the practice. I feel like a lot of people have different demands, obviously, and they want some people who are interviewed have been like super specific about like what file system do I use for my root canals. I'm like, I freaking don't know, whatever I have in the drawer today, because the owner of the practice had it for 13 years and majority of her instrument are 13 years old and she still has like rotary systems that haven't been opened from like 10 years ago. So I'm like, okay, I'm just going to use it. The name of it, I don't know. Does it work? Yes. So that's kind of my philosophy. I don't know if it's a good one, but that's somebody who I need to kind of understand and be in the same boat as me, and I'm just not finding that kind of person. And if I am finding somebody, they're just want different things. Like they want a full time, they want 5 days a week, but I can't give them five. Like I love you as a person and think you're going to be a great fit, but you want 5 days a week, and I need you to be there 3 days a week. So that there's a lot of moving parts. Um, the funny this like the root canal guy was the funny part. Like that was I was sort of like, oh my god, something's wrong with you. But he was like very particular about everything I use. He asked me how I bill extractions, like what code do I use for extractions. I'm like, I'd ask my front desk. I don't know how to do that. So that was ridiculous. And another person who I did like actually just completely ghosted me. Who does that? Like, do people do that for their for the employees, right? For the employers. They found a job, like they agreed, the contract was sent, and then they just disappear for months. Like I haven't heard from her in months, so I guess she's not coming, right? I should take the hint. But it feels like dating. It literally feels like swiping left and right, and it feels like dating. And I was just ghosted by a professional doctor, which I find hilarious because we're all adults, but the person just kind of disappeared on me. So yeah, that's how my practice goes. Another problem that I'm facing right now is marketing because I made a website and like I'm working with a marketing agency and they're like, okay, we need to take some images of your practice. And my practice was built by a lady in her 70s. And she left kind of like a couple months ago, so it still kind of looks like it's been built by a lady in her 70s. I am making some renovations, but when the practice operates, like it's already open, there are patients there, so I can't just like close down and do a whole renovation now. So the practice still kind of looks like a lady built like an old lady house, right? It has like this old chairs, fake flowers that I need to throw out, but then it's gonna be empty and there's gonna be a dusty spot in there. So I was just like, okay, leave the flowers. So like I need to take some marketing pictures and I'm literally embarrassed of how my practice looks. So that's another problem that I'm kind of dealing with right now. I am so excited to show you guys and film the video of the before of the renovation. I already kind of moved some stuff out, which I'm sad about. I should have filmed it first, but this is coming so soon. I'm so excited to show you guys. But I think I've been rambling enough. This was fun. I'm definitely gonna do it next week. Hopefully more than somebody else. Like hopefully somebody will watch. I don't know. I'm gonna upload this on YouTube or something, so this is not wasted. But so excited to talk to you guys. Hopefully you're having a good Mother's Day. Hopefully you have a better attitude and healthier than me. And I will see you in my next video. Bye.